Hello everyone, welcome back to Investigative Selfism, or welcome, this is for the first time, very exciting. And hey, let me jump into today's topic. And that is something that I was just talking to a friend about. I wanted to say we had a conversation. We were exchanging many long WhatsApp messages, which is a format of a conversation these days, as you might know. And so I was talking to a friend about various things, a good conversation. And we reached the topic of personal development, kind of self-knowledge. So all these things that are, for me, personally, for that friend, thankfully, that's why a friend, very interesting. And she said something that I thought, what is this sentence? What is this statement? And she was saying, I'm so sorry, I don't always have the time to watch your videos or to listen to your podcast episodes. To which I said, well, you don't even need to do that. We talk, we discuss things, we reach these topics. You have the real me, to talk to about that. And I want to talk to the real you, when you tell me your things. So it's a very nice exchange. But one of the things she said, and I thought it was very, very interesting and something to analyze in our today's episode, is she said, sometimes I feel like, I just don't want to do that work. I just don't want to go deeply into myself, and I just want to rest from that. And one thing, rest in general and not being productive, I think that's so important, of course. That's such a big part of, how we, regulate our nervous systems. We don't have to constantly pressure ourselves to be productive, in a very kind of neoliberal sort of, paradigm way. So I get that. I'm very much for that. But I was thinking the concept of doing the work, which I do like to use, and how I see that work. And I wanted to share that with you because I haven't done that directly. And I will use a metaphor that I think has been used, not my metaphor, but I really like it. And I think it was Michael Singer, this lovely man, a great author, a nice Buddhist psychology teacher who I and many millions admire. And he uses great metaphors in his talks, in his books. I'm just this is so, poetic or just so creative. I love it. And he was saying that, sometimes instead of we're trying to kind of surf the big waves, right? And we're trying to keep ourselves on top of the water, right? Somehow we're trying to navigate the waves, while what we should be doing is kind of going under, going more deeply, where the water is still. So kind of reconnecting to ourselves, maybe, remembering our Buddha nature, just becoming more centered. And from that stillness, then, we take decisions. Then we just approach life in general, right? And obviously we don't take ourselves too seriously. So for me, I was thinking, indeed, a lot of things, as I see them, they are work, right? We choose to work on ourselves. And one of the mottos of my website, of my project, one is be an active participant in your own life, an active participant. And the second one is choose to do the work, because it is a choice. But also I do see it as work. But, of course, we listen to good podcasts, we read good books, right? We enlighten ourselves, we get more tools to understand ourselves, we get more, new cool frameworks, so we can name what's happening and we can kind of know maybe what's the healthy way to approach it. So it is in a way work. But when I told that friend, and what I do think, is that if I think that is work, that's hard work, and maybe I don't want to do it, I always say to myself, think about the alternative. Oh my God, think about the alternative. If you don't get these tools, if you don't get these frameworks, in the future, and imagine if you don't have them now, navigating a life would be so much more difficult. That would be work. Having shitty boundaries and feeling insecure about yourself and not knowing how to express your needs, not knowing how to communicate, not knowing how to handle conflict. That is work. That makes life very, very difficult. And life is kind of already complex and difficult and have to navigate a lot. So if I don't have these tools, my God, what work it becomes. And it's not like I have all the tools, right? I'm always learning, my books, courses, let's go. And that's what I'm sharing here. So for me, at least, Like I'm actually enjoying the, my readings and everything. I feel I enjoy what I study and what I learn because I can feel also how that's helping me and that's making my life either easier or just less difficult and more manageable. And then I see very clearly how if I haven't done that work, oh my God, how much more difficult life would be. And once again, it's kind of not easy from the beginning, right? So this is how I see it, right? Whatever we invest in ourselves, we choose to do the work. Okay, we can see it as work, we can see it as something else, but my goodness, please, 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 please consider the alternative. And I think sometimes, and this is really sad, we see people who are, especially who are older, not all, but older, like a different age group. Let's say I see my mom's friends who are in their 60s and 70s, and I see how it's obviously, it's really, really very sad, but I see how in 60 plus years, you didn't have the tools. We're all doing the best that we can with the tools that we have, and you really didn't have access to the tools. So you're keeping your insecurities. You're keeping a voice in your head that's from literally 50 years or 40 years ago that your mom was telling you, and you have these insecurities, and you're 70, and you're carrying them. You're carrying them every day because you never had a chance to learn about how not to live that way. And that for me, it's more about empowerment, and it's cool, kind of like that can be the opposite can be very, very, very heavy. And I don't want to keep on carrying my stuff, into any decade, 30s, okay, 40s, let's go. I don't know. And I don't want anyone to do that because it doesn't help anyone. Sometimes holding onto our, oh, that's my thing, that's my issue. Like there should be no pride in that. But so sometimes we see the alternative, and we see the alternative not having done the work, not being able to do the work, not having the access usually, right, information. And we see those consequences, and they can be very, very painful. It can be like, oh man, you didn't have to carry that with you for so long. And we all have things we're carrying. So the work is either putting the work to let it down, like put it down, let it go, whatever phrasal verb you want to use here, or the work will be to carry that. Just continue carrying that heavy backpack, whatever the metaphor you want to use. So if you choose to do the work, I think that's the work that matters. And the alternative, it's also a choice, but it's not an easier one. It's really not some kind of a hard work free, alternative. And I hope you understand that. I hope you see yourselves as being important enough to do the work. If you can save yourselves a lifetime of insecurities, let's say, a lifetime of, taking things personally, a lifetime of speaking to yourselves in a really bad way, very not compassionate, not very friendly, my God, what value is in that? A lot of value. So, you don't have to see life as I see it. I'm not saying that's the correct way to think about our development, what we choose to consume and everything. But I think there are things that can help us really in our lives. We just really have to choose to seek them. And there is a certain knowledge that can only help us in a way. And maybe the process of obtaining that knowledge and creating a habit is not very pleasant, but it can only help. It can only make you, me, right? Just slightly, less stressed maybe, just kinder, more in tune with ourselves, maybe better communicators, right? Oh my God, the ripple effects. Oh my goodness, how many people benefit. So I hope that you choose to do the work. I hope you choose to invest in yourselves. I hope you choose to see yourselves as being important enough. Because even if there are no ripple effects, how you feel, what's happening in your head, how you talk to yourself, how you see the world, how you think about the people around you, that matters so much. Even if no one else benefits, like that is your life and you matter. And taking care of that garden, whatever, I'm not a gardener, it's very not a good metaphor for me. I also don't dive. So the going on the water is like a very scary metaphor as well. I don't do many things, it seems, yes. But anyway, I can only say it now to you, right? And say, please, 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 see yourselves as being important enough to do the work, to invest in yourself, to take the time. And this is what you're doing now. So thank you so much. Really, thank you for being here. I hope this was interesting, at least valuable. If you like it, maybe there are friends who really need to hear that. I think we always have friends who really need to hear these words, right? So don't keep it just to yourselves if you think someone else can benefit. And once again, thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of my project, really. And I'll see you soon.